Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi, and we're going to begin tonight with breaking news of a brush fire dangerously close to homes in Spring Valley. It happened on Hamashaw Boulevard and Doubletree Road near the 94 freeway. It started around 2 p.m. The fire quickly grew at that point to 75 acres before crews stopped the forward progress. And KPBS reporter Alexander Wynn is live there. Alex, can you tell us what you're seeing now?
Yeah, Maya, I'm standing on where the fire started this afternoon. It started from way back there, but I want to show you how close it got to homes. It's about 20 feet away from these tract homes, and this whole entire hillside was on fire this afternoon, and an evacuation order was ordered, and people were told to go to Skyline Church, and that's where we met this gentleman.
We got the alert from the sheriff's department, and my wife ran out to the front bedroom, and she saw the smoke. And then the alert got louder and louder, and all of a sudden, people are jumping outside, and we said we need to leave now.
Now, CAL FIRE says that this fire forward spread has stopped and all evacuations has been lifted. And now, as of a few moments ago, there were still people, the helicopters were still dropping water on this fire. And I still see, as you saw a moment ago, the firefighters still walking around inspecting for hot spots. For now, live in Spring Valley, Alexander Wynn, KPBS News.
Well, we appreciate that report, Alex. Hundreds of people without legal status were apprehended in massive ICE raids across the country. The raids, which took place in Georgia and New York, come as Chicago leaders prepare for an expected immigration enforcement operation in the city. Michael Yoshida reports.
Cell phone video capturing a sweeping immigration raid at a massive Georgia manufacturing facility.
We need all work to end on the site right now.
475 people were apprehended as several law enforcement agencies descended on the Hyundai Meta plant near Savannah on Thursday, according to a Homeland Security investigations official.
Almost for a second, like, are we in the U.S.? Like, I've never seen them come out like that, guns drawn.
A similar site hundreds of miles away in upstate New York. Federal agents raiding a family-owned plant that makes nutrition bars. Dozens of workers questioned, with nearly all taken into custody, according to the nonprofit Rural and Migrant Agency, whose staff witnessed the raid.
The people that work for us are, every single one of them are wonderful people, and to have them taken away is not only unfortunate, it's just inhumane almost, the way you see it, as it's being conducted.
Also Thursday, the Justice Department suing Boston's Mayor Michelle Wu and the city's police department over the city's so-called sanctuary policy, which limits cooperation with federal immigration efforts. Wu calling the lawsuit a, quote, unconstitutional attack. Earlier this year, the DOJ sued New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago over similar policies. A federal judge dismissed the suit against Chicago this summer. The White House continues to clash with Democrat-led cities and states. Chicago leaders are preparing for an expected immigration enforcement operation, which could include the deployment of the National Guard. In Washington, Michael Yoshida, KPBS News.
San Diego is in the middle of a summer COVID wave. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco says new federal vaccine rules are causing confusion, leaving patients and providers trying to sort out the changes.
COVID cases in San Diego County are climbing again. During the week ending August 9th, cases rose by more than 100 compared to the week before. UC San Diego infectious disease doctor Davey Smith says the peak is still ahead.
So over the next 3-4 weeks, there'll be a lot of us San Diegans who get infected.
He says new federal policy is changing how COVID boosters are rolled out and causing confusion.
That confusion leads to mistrust in us doctors and us public health officials and our government. And it really is frustrating for me when I'm talking to people about vaccinations.
It isn't just about eligibility. A delayed meeting of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Panel, now pushed to mid-September, has slowed clear guidance. Pharmacies rely on those recommendations to know who they can vaccinate and whether insurance will cover it. Smith says it leaves them in a tough spot.
90% of our vaccines are actually now given at pharmacies, so it makes it kind of hard.
In California, adults 65 and older and those with certain health conditions can still get a shot without a prescription. Smith also recommends boosters for younger, healthy adults.
Even people who are not older than 65 and don't have an immunocompromising condition can get very sick from COVID still. And there's also the risk of long COVID.
He says boosters also help against new variants and believes the decision should be left to patients and their doctors.
But I do think it's a little bit nuts that we don't allow people to make their own decisions around vaccines, to be able to get their own vaccines if they want them.
As of August 28th, only 16% of the eligible population in San Diego County is vaccinated. Smith says the low rate, combined with tighter rules and new emerging variants, could drive more infections up this season. Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
Will Rodriguez Kennedy is back at the helm of the San Diego Democratic Party. He walked away from the job 3 years ago after he was accused of sexually assaulting his former partner, who eventually asked that his civil lawsuit be dismissed. And his reaccession to the post came not without its own controversy. KPBS's Amita Sharma spoke recently with Rodriguez Kennedy.
Will, you won a fairly acrimonious race to head the local Democratic Party. Anonymous letters circulated calling you a Trumpian narcissist. They also focused on the now dropped sexual assault allegations against you, and those letters talked about the allegations against your opponent, consultant Sarah Ochoa's husband. Is there lingering bad blood within the party over all of that? And if so, what do you plan to do to heal it?
I think that the fact that those were anonymous was kind of indicative of the reality that is a minority of the Democratic Party. There is a element who favors drama over doing the work. Luckily, my opponent and I have met, and we favor doing the work over the drama. So we're working together. There's a committee that I've appointed her co-chair of moving forward, and we're going to work together to put the party back together as a family. We have a common cause, we have a common foe, and we have a clear understanding of the stakes ahead of us. So it's actually rather easy to unite when there is a clear boss, baddie, or whatever to fight.
So amid those stakes, as you know, the Democratic Party is bleeding voters nationally. Locally, 120,000 fewer people voted for Democrats last November than 4 years ago. In southeastern San Diego alone, Democrats lost 11,000 voters. Republicans gained 2,000 voters. Why do you think that happened?
Well, it's 124,735 voters, so I've looked at the number very closely. The reason that happened is because, one, particularly in the South Bay, the Democratic Party did not run as extensive a Spanish language program as they did in 2020 when I was chair last time. The other reason that happened is that the Democratic Party has not shown a level of focus and discipline on the issues that affect the day-to-day lives of voters. So, for example, affecting and addressing the cost of living, the cost of housing, raising wages, things like that. Voters care most about their quality of lives. They care most about whether or not they're able to put food on the table. They care most whether or not they can afford gas, groceries, things like that. So the fact that the party has not had that level of discipline and has not acted with the sense of urgency in the 2024 election would lead to a bleed of voters in that we saw in 2024. So that's one of the reasons I was elected. If you look at what I put out in terms of the campaign, we're talking about having message consistency, message discipline, but also making sure that we're talking to those voters who we left behind. Voters not showing up is not their fault; it's our fault. We did not communicate to them on the issues that they like or that they care about, in the languages that they speak, through the media that they consume. We're going to change that in 2025 and 2026.
Aside from trying to win those voters back, what else is on your to-do list that you consider urgent?
Well, Prop 50 is obviously top of mind because we have a special election that is coming up in November 4th. It is absolutely essential that we do our part as a county to take back our country. We have a significant problem in the federal level with the Trump administration instilling fear in our communities. They are affecting our economy. If you looked at the unemployment and job numbers that have happened recently, you can draw a direct line into the instability in federal economic policy, whether it's the tariffs, which affect our trade, which is a major part of the San Diego economy, whether it's the immigration chaos, and fear that has been caused by the administration, which affects our economy and our ability on the border. The federal has affected San Diego in a negative way. And the best way for us to do that, especially considering our economy, is to make sure that we vote yes on Prop 50.
Prop 50 being Governor Newsom's ballot measure that redraws congressional districts to favor Democrats, and this is in response to Texas's redistricting. You're at the ground level of the Democratic Party. What's your sense about how local voters feel about Prop 50?
Well, we're all Californians, and I don't think we want Texans to decide the future of our country. And the a difference between the way the Republicans are doing it and the way the Democrats are doing is that we're asking our voters for their permission. The Texan Republican legislature, they're just shoving it down the throat of Texans. The most important thing people can do to resist the Trump administration and its horrible effects in our communities and with our economy is to vote yes on Prop 50.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, a stalling jobs market adds to economic uncertainty. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Students across the country saw math scores drop after the pandemic. Teachers are using new techniques to make up for lost ground. KPBS education reporter Katie Anastas visited a school in Oceanside to see how teachers there are helping all students embrace math.
First grade teacher Catherine Sebastian asks her students how many dots they see on the screen.
You can tell your partner, I know there's 7 because.
When they're done talking to their partners, students share how they can add up to the total.
What did he say? 3, 2. Wait, I heard 4 friends. I want to hear 20 friends. 3, 2. Are these the 3 2s you saw, LJ?
This lesson is about more than just addition and subtraction. It's also showing students that there are multiple ways to solve a problem.
Everybody sees numbers in different ways. That's awesome.
The Oceanside Unified School District adopted a new math curriculum a few years ago. It emphasizes giving students a chance to participate and collaborate.
They need an invitation to math.
Ruben Medlock works with math teachers throughout the district. He says they're seeing a difference.
Because we learn math and we learn to problem solve by talking verbally. How often do you find yourself trying to figure something out and you talk out loud to yourself to figure it out? Talking to each other, that just is a double impact, that you're learning from each other as you are talking through how to solve something.
Laura Hogue is the principal of Del Rio STEM Academy. Students there visit a STEM lab every week and get hands-on experience with science and engineering. Students recently worked together to build marshmallow catapults.
This opportunity to work with their peers in collaborative groups and get really into designing something and working through challenges and problems that come up as they do that, build some perseverance and grit in that process, and are able to feel a little bit more confidence in what they're doing across the subjects.
An ongoing positive experience with math is important for students. That's according to Daniel Reinholtz, who studies math education at San Diego State University.
Even if they don't understand everything today, if they quit, they're never going to understand it. But if they keep going on the education journey, they're going to have more opportunities to sort of fill in those gaps, fill in those understandings, and have like a deeper concept later on.
In this first grade classroom, that journey is just getting started as students solve problems and share ideas on how to do it. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
New parking meter rates during special events near Petco Park are in effect. We also know now what the consequences are for not paying the fees. Parking costs $10 an hour starting 2 hours prior to an event until 4 hours after the event is over. Violators will be issued a $55 fine according to the city's municipal code. And that means if you were to remain parked for the full 6 enforceable hours, it would actually be cheaper to pay the fine. Our media partner KGTV asked the city and the police department about that detail.
Anytime that enforcement, especially when it comes to a parking ticket, can be avoided, let's avoid it. Especially if you're trying to save money, maybe it's the cheaper way. But at the same time, let's make sure that we abide by the laws, no matter how inconvenient, no matter how pricey they are.
And Lieutenant Easter also warns that tickets can escalate. If you don't pay the fine on time, you can be hit with additional late fees. And if you don't pay at all and tickets accumulate, your car can be towed. This morning, Signet Theater held an official ribbon-cutting ceremony to celebrate the opening of the Joan and Irwin Jacobs Performing Arts Center, affectionately known as the Joan. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando was there to look inside Signet's new, state-of-the-art new and permanent home at Arts District Liberty Station.
It's a very special day to be here, cut the ribbon, and look forward to the first performance next Saturday. My only regret, of course, is that Joan's not here to be with us to celebrate this event. She was here, however, for the groundbreaking, and so she did get an idea of how the building was progressing at that point and what it was going to look like. And so it gave her great pleasure.
So today is the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Joan. What does this mean to you in Liberty Station?
So at the Arts District, we are responsible for 26 historic buildings. We have repurposed now 18. This is number 18 for us. This will give us an opportunity to really accomplish some other things we want to do because it brings a lot more focus and attention to Arts District Liberty Station.
Hi, we are here at the Joan, which has just opened, and I'm here with Signet's Artistic Director, Sean Murray. Now, about a year ago, we were standing outside in the rain in front of a big pool of water.
We're standing in the pool of water right now.
So how does this feel?
Oh, it's a little out-of-body experience. You know, I look at this theater and it just, I don't know, it blows my mind. We've worked on this for so long.
And tell us what you're going to be opening with.
We're opening with James Goldman and Stephen Sondheim's Follies. Ironically, in this brand new, never used before state-of-the-art theater, that show is set in a falling apart, crumbling theater about to be turned into a parking lot. It's all about ghosts and past decisions and life regrets and love and passion.
And these ghosts are sort of genuine in the sense that there are some things on this stage that come from Signet's history.
Right. Well, anytime you do a show in a theater, the history of that theater is in the room with you, all the performances. That's not the case here. Nothing's been done in here before. So we're creating the original ghosts for this show. There are old pieces of scenery from shows from Signet in Old Town, sets from Gypsy on the 20th century, Cabaret, litter the stage. Also, there's a lot of broken concrete. All of that concrete is the concrete from the demo of this building. I have a lot of Easter eggs hiding on this set.
And tell us about those theater seats on stage.
Well, when we renovated the Old Town Theater, all those seats were brown. They looked like sort of fake burlap. And we replaced them with these red Victorian seats. And so when you buy theater seats, you get a couple samples before they arrive so you can see if you like them. And so we've been holding on to these theater seats for like however long we've been in Old Town. And they were in a storage space. And I'm like, well, let's use those for the set. But they were brand new, pristine, until we painted them to look like they're old and filthy.
For KPBS News, I'm Beth Accomando here at the Joan in Liberty Station.
What would you do with more than $1 billion in your bank account? It's a question many of you may be contemplating as the Powerball jackpot continues to rise. But why is it that people get so excited to win despite the significant odds against them? Mandy Gaither talks to a psychologist about it.
If you're pumped about the Powerball jackpot, you're not alone, despite the fact the odds are against you. To be clear, chances of winning the top prize are around 1 in 292.2 million.
When the numbers rise into the billions, the reward center of the brain lights up like fireworks.
Clinical psychologist Susan Alberts with Cleveland Clinic says that releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter made in your brain, also known as the feel-good hormone. She says the lottery creates what's known as the what-if fantasy.
Immediately, you begin to imagine in great detail what would happen if you won the lottery. Maybe buying a home, buying presents for people, quitting your job.
While Albert says it's completely normal to daydream about that island you'd buy with the winnings, she cautions Powerball fever begins to be a problem when a player spends large amounts of money they don't have, or if that money is meant for something else important. Other red flags include thinking obsessively about the lottery, feeling anxious while you wait for numbers to be drawn, or if it's impacting relationships or responsibilities.
Set a limit in terms of dollar amount and frequency in terms of playing the lottery. Think about what you are really craving. Is it excitement, freedom, hope? What is driving you to play the lottery? And there are a lot of different avenues to fulfill that need.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And here's Powerball winnings by the numbers. Since its inception in 1992, 17 jackpot winners have come from California, including the last winner on May 31st this year. That's just over 4% of total jackpot winners. The largest ever jackpot was also won here in California. It was for $2.04 billion in November 2022. Indiana is the state with the most ever jackpot winners at 39.
Not only did we have the wet weather around the past couple of days, we actually even increased the humidity in some areas. At times, we had dew points in the 70s yesterday. That is all about to change as Lorena's moisture departs. It actually moves off towards the east away from our area. So a quieter setup to our weekend, which means we're dry and seasonable. Next week, surprisingly, the numbers are actually going to go down. I know you would think that since the moisture is leaving, we could start to skyrocket in our temperature department, but we should actually see those numbers fall off beyond the weekend. First up tonight, though, 66 is the low in the city as you work your way towards Oceanside. We're at 63. Mount Laguna becoming clear at 59 degrees for that low. Future radar and satellite shows, again, most of this moisture really departing our area. So we'll take you through time here. And as we continue to evolve, you can see most of that moisture really pushing its way farther and farther off towards the east. Getting into tomorrow morning, we do still have some marine layer near the coast, but it's not really on shore. And as we work our way throughout the day, then you'll see a couple stray showers, thunderstorms. Most of that is east of our area again. So we aren't going to see much in the way of activity as we work our way in through the start of your weekend. Saturday looking good here, 78 for the high in the city. As you head towards Borrego Springs, we go to 98, and Ramona coming in at 92. Chula Vista will hit 79 for the afternoon. If you are at the coast, we do have those clouds still sticking around at times, but more sunshine breaking out in the day. 79 for the high again Saturday. We're close to 80 as we round out the weekend. Beautiful September weather. Even Tuesday, Wednesday, mid-70s. That's not too bad for us. You'll notice inland communities closer to 90 for the weekend, but then we'd start to trail off into the mid and even lower 80s by the time we get into Tuesday. Our mountain communities holding on to about 70 for the weekend. Maybe there's that spot thunderstorm in just a stray area, but I think, again, a lot of that moisture trying to work its way farther east, and we will see those numbers fall then back into the 60s by Tuesday. And the desert communities largely staying dry, back into the mid-90s by Tuesday. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Melissa Constancer.
This weekend, San Diego Wave FC will officially retire the jersey of one of U.S. soccer's greatest stars on and off the pitch, Alex Morgan. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayers says a new public mural was unveiled today as part of the festivities.
And it's Alex Morgan with the strike.
Number 13, Alex Morgan, is an inspiration for many in the soccer world. This weekend, the icon will officially have her jersey number retired at Snapdragon Stadium by San Diego Wave FC, a year after she retired from the sport. Fan Amanda Farr says it's a moment to relish.
I have boys, I have girls, and my sons have
been raised in a town where one of the biggest athletic heroes of their hometown is Alex Morgan. They have her picture up on their wall along with Padres and, other athletes.
The team and community are celebrating the national soccer star in a variety of ways, including a brand new mural at Mike Hess Brewing in North Park. Maggie O'Connor was there to honor her idol.
It's been such a struggle to have access to women's sports in general. And I think, especially when she did play for Wave, having that big of a name coming onto a team, I think brought a lot of attention.
Paul Jimenez is the artist behind the spray-painted mural. He says this is his third public Wave FC portrait, and he made this piece happen in just 4 days.
I was super excited because I've always wanted to paint her. In fact, I painted her once at a high school, but it wasn't public, so I've always wanted to paint her publicly because she's such a legend in San Diego.
Morgan's impact was not just felt here in San Diego, but nationwide and even globally. She's one of the most decorated players in U.S. women's national team history and fought for equality in sport off the pitch.
She fought for equality in pay. She continues to be a force for women's place in media and in sports and in business and in this community. She runs foundations for young girls to, be able to have access to athletics.
Morgan's jersey retirement ceremony will be held on Sunday evening at Snapdragon Stadium, just after the team's game against the Houston Dash. The team is also hosting a fan fest before the match to honor the soccer legend. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Get the latest from KPBS delivered right to your inbox. We have a variety of newsletters, including daily headlines, KPBS Arts streaming picks, and our North County focus. Go to kpbs.org and look for the newsletter section at the top of your screen. And from there, you can sign up with your email address. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Enjoy your weekend.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.